Welcome to Gray Overload. I'm Anthony, and here we go. We have some interesting topic to talk about today, which is software or services going backwards. And I was watching a Lewis Rossman video, and I started digging into this, and he was talking about how um, piracy is kind of being justified again. And the reason why I said that is, more and more today. Um, we have like all these rentals. You buy stuff online, and then the company is kind of being like, you buy it, you'll be able to watch it wherever. Let's say with streaming products, right? And when a deal goes bad, all of a sudden everything you bought is gone. So let's take Sony for instance here. Um, PlayStation, they have where you can go buy TV, studios or TV shows, and now they're lost a deal or whatever else, and so all these shows are going to be gone here very soon. And I was reading about this. I'm like, but all these people bought stuff, so is Sony going to be refunding all the money? And that was one question I had, and it doesn't look like it until I don't know, unless something changes. But when you buy a product like that, how is it where you don't, at some point, you're going to get annoyed, and this is going to be harder for you to actually go out and watch your content, right? The one great thing about streaming when it first started was the content was easy to access. The content was there at your fingertips. You had everything. These content deals, like Netflix, had everything you wanted to watch, or almost everything. So that way it was, easy. Everything just worked. And now, as you get down, let's say you're buying from Sony and now you lose access to that, you already bought it. So now you either have to go buy it someplace else if you want to watch it, and otherwise you're out of luck with what the money you already spent. So where is this? This is where, maybe the solution is that you have to go buy it from that service. I'm a physical media guy when everything but games, but this could happen to games too. So far, Steam has been very reliable in that. But I got all my media is all over the place here, is all physical, right? And I'm not going down that route right now of going all digital. I was planning on going digital at one point, and then when I started seeing some of this, I'm like, here we go. It's all physical, and I buy the Blu-rays, I buy the DVDs, whatever it is, and I have it at my house, right? This is that way I can pop it on and watch it whenever I want. Fine. I just can't get into this whole digital stuff with how companies are now treating it. I mean, Lewis even said, he purchased a um, one of these 4K streams, right? And it was then playing at 720p. Why? Like, if the person where they're buying it cannot play it in that area at higher than 720p or whatever, and wherever you're buying it from should be able to check that prior, like if you're doing it through a browser, and be saying, hey, if you're going to play this here and you cannot watch it in 4K, right? There should be warnings, because if you pay for a 4K, you better be watching it in 4K, is my opinion. And the downside is right, that I consider theft, because you're stealing money for a product you cannot deliver, and you're taking that difference of money for, the 720p product, which can only watch it, they can only watch at 720p, yet you're paying for the 4K product. That's, theft there, right? And that is going to enable more and more people to want to pirate stuff, which the whole process of making this easier was so that that wouldn't have happened. My big thing, especially when I, go through and I'm working on software designing and developing, right, is I believe that technology needs to fade into the background so that it is easier for people to be able to get their work done, or get their entertainment, whatever else. And if technology is getting in the way, it's not technology, it's an annoyance at this point. And so as we're addressing this, as developers, we need to be conscious of that. And I get companies do dumb things and have dumb requirements in the way, but it's our job to kind of explain like this might not be there. There's testers, there's, you know, everybody else that is in that pipeline that needs to help understand and explain to, management or whatever else that this isn't going to be feasible or good for a long term of the products, right? I feel like that we're getting back into the gear of, when I was much younger, piracy was a huge thing. Torrents were everywhere, right? And while they're still around today, and not all torrenting is illegal, right? There's a lot of stuff on torrents that is perfectly legal, but you're getting back to where you can get a 4K version of that same show. You can be able to watch it in 4K on your device that has all the supported can display 4K, but the player decided not to do it in the current web configuration because you didn't meet all the 50 billion different checkboxes to be able to do this, right? That that is a detriment. And why is that, right? It just seems like companies are making it harder to be able to get the media that they want, to be able to have the software to work how the user wants it to, and to be able to do it. Now, I do think that users, if there's a feedback loop, Windows there's Feedback Hub. Sometimes there's other places online to go that the companies have to give them, of hey, what improvements would you like to see? Customers just should put in feedback whenever they can. And I am one to provide feedback whenever I can because a better piece of software is better for everybody in you know, when I'm looking at it. So, I try to, put feedback in to be able to make it easier for people and hopefully better, but it's not listening. And this is why my question of is software and services going backwards? Because while they're using more resources on stuff, while they're trying to improve the look of things, while they're trying to make things better, are they actually making it more useful, making it easier? And I think a lot of times it's not, right? Microsoft's a big thing of in Windows 11 changing the taskbar start menu to the center instead of where it's been all the time. That should have been an option of saying here during setup, where do you want this? Because you shouldn't just go changing things for the sake of change. You have to change things for the sake of productivity, of being more useful, and something not be there, right? Why? I get it if it's a tablet, you might want to be like, hey, this is going to be in the center now for tablets. But for mouse keyboard, how often do you go to bottom left to hit your start button? That's natural, right? For a lot of people, it was just changing something I felt for the sake of change. They never had a great explanation outside of why it's there. I get tablet mode, I get that, but um, a lot of desktop users aren't there, so you're just changing it for the sake of change. I get if you want to have a tablet mode that puts it in the center, that might make more sense to be able to switch it back and forth. How hard is that to do? I don't think that hard to be able to do that, but when you're looking at these UI development things, you have to look at it from that aspect of, is this going to affect the consumer in the positive way or negative way? Do we need to ask some consumers before we do this, or do we just proceed and hope for the best? I've been there where you have to really, there is a problem in code where you have to change the UI, and the UI has to change in a certain way. But you have to do it in a way where it's going to make it so it's easier for the user and hopefully benefits the user long term. And I feel like everything they're doing kind of, you have to play 4K, you have these requirements. Well, how many people are actually jump through all those hoops to see all those requirements? People expect to go and say, hey, I'm going to play this, it's going to work, and it's going to work in what I bought. Are you I get, somebody spent a whole bunch of money on all these shows, and let's taking PlayStation here for an instance. Yet now they can't watch them anymore. I and the reason why I'm talking about this is, I've been working on something for a while, but then Lewis said something. I'm like, this is getting ridiculous. More people need to talk about this and bring this up. I saw somebody else after I watched Lewis, right, in the side YouTube recommends, somebody else is talking about this. I'm excited to see more people talk about something like this. But you can be like, oh, piracy is stealing, but at the same time, right, if you pay for 4K, get 720p, that money was stolen from you for not delivering the quality of the product that you bought. it's a two-way street here for the companies. And if the companies aren't going to look at how to deliver and make it easier for the consumer, how can you really then kind of, back them up? Is this, I look at it as, for me, it's going to be, I know a lot of other people, physical media is going to be back up on the rise, and more people are going to want physical media. And then the other side of it is that you're going to enable the people that are, fine with piracy and everything else. And I pay for, all my stuff. I don't go out and do piracy and stuff like that. I pay for everything. But at the same time, I'm looking at this from somebody that doesn't do that and be like, you're making it really hard, companies, for people to be like, it's easier to piracy now than it is to go watch all your shows. That's going through and trying to find it, getting on, making sure you have all the programs, doing the torrents, whatever else. You do realize that you're forcing users to have to go over that hump, and it's mind-boggling to me that you're making it harder than just make it easier than the alternative. And I hope companies will start to realize this and be like, you know what, we got to start changing it. We get that we have to have a use model that works and makes money for us, but we also need to make sure that that use model is easy to use and convenient for people so that they still want to come back. You know, let's say you have, podcasts or, that are, or radio shows that are syndicated and they're on and off different places and people want to listen to them, going to different else. Make that easy, right? Music, make it easy. Software, make it easy for people to just go and always download it, always access it. And then when the time comes, they'll be able to be like, this was easy. I can just, continue what I'm doing until this is so hard. I got to do something else. Is there another way to get this? When people start asking that question, you start losing it. But at the other side of things, right? Companies have to realize if their stuff's being pirated, at least they're still relevant. At least they're still worth it. As Lewis says in his video, if you go watch that, um, sometimes I can't remember the quote exactly that I said at the end, and he didn't remember who said it, so I wasn't able to write down and get the exact quote. But the piracy, when people stop piracying your content, it's bad then. It's a bad time then. So let me know what your thoughts are on all this, especially with services and software going backwards, usability, and then also this PlayStation thing. Like once you buy it, shouldn't if you bought it to own it, and they're not refunding your money? How do you feel about that? With this, I do appreciate everything you guys have done for this channel. Liking, subscribing, sharing the videos, hitting the bell icon does help out this channel a ton, and it's very appreciated by me. And so go and do all those things as well. And until next time, God bless.